Hello, I'm Ruben West, and I'm here with Cicone Prince from CiconePrince.com, where what?
We introduce you to yourself.
I love it. Well, the reason we're here today is Cicone has written this brilliant book, and the book is entitled, Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain? Now, I love this book. I've read this book. He actually gave me the privilege of writing the foreword to this book. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him tell you exactly why he wrote it. But before we get into that, Cicone, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Cicone Prince of CiconePrince.com, where we introduce you to yourself. And I'm a motivational speaker. I've been doing it now for the past 3 years. I have a wonderful coach, Dr. Ruben West, and he's helped me to actually be able to craft my story and to impact lives and change people's lives.
Now, I will validate that because you definitely are doing that. And it's interesting, it's not just you. You're a family man, right?
Yes, I am. I have a wife and I have 5 kids. Yes, I said 5 kids.
Five. That's right. So how old are your children?
Well, aging from 29 to 9.
29 and 9. Now, I think that's important because a lot of times we want to know who we're listening to. And what I wanted you to see about Cicone is he has a lot of experience. He's worked with youth of different ages. He's a married man. He knows about relationships. But one of the things he really understood was the fact that we have to be climbing the right mountain. And so he challenged us with this reflective question in this book, are you climbing the wrong mountain? Cicone, what made you write this book?
Well, I started studying quotes at the advice of my coach.
Right.
And one of the quotes I came across was by Dr. Miles Monroe. And the quote said, the greatest failure in life is to succeed at the wrong assignment.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that again because when I first read it, I was blown away. He said, the greatest failure in life is to succeed at the wrong assignment. Yeah. When I first read that quote, the first thing that popped into my mind was a picture. And that picture was of someone standing on top of a mountain talking about, I did it.
I did it, yeah.
But the caption at the bottom of the picture said, but you're on the wrong mountain. And so that's why I came up with the title, Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain? You know, people are at times guilty of doing what they were trained to do.
Yes.
As opposed to what they were ordained to do.
Wow, say that again. Say that
People at times are guilty of doing what they were trained to do.
Trained to do.
But not what they were ordained to do.
Wow.
And that truth comes across in this book because it helps evaluate, are you where you're supposed to be?
Yes.
I mean, is there a sense of purpose and satisfaction in what you're doing? Or are you just going through the motions? Yeah. Are you just killing time? Yeah. And that's what this book really focuses on.
You know, Cicone, I got to ask you, we're going to get to this book, but there's so many books out there. Yeah. There's self-help books, there's personal development books, there's personal finance books, there's all these different kinds of books. And what I've found is most people don't buy into self-development, they buy into shelf development. They just get the book and they put it up on the shelf. You know what I'm saying? Right. But tell me how this book can help them if they actually apply the information in this book.
Well, first off, it's a quick read. Yes. I didn't want to make it something to where people would actually take it and put it on the shelf or start it and never finish it.
Right.
I wanted to make sure that I didn't waste anybody's time and I got to the heart of the matter. The other thing is, I remember, in fact, the movie I, Robot with Will Smith.
Yes.
In the course of that movie, he came across this little, it was like a little answer machine, like a 3D hologram answer machine that was left by one of the victims in the film. Yeah. And the hologram, it could only answer certain questions because it said, I can't answer that, you have to ask the right question.
Right.
And that stuck with me. It stuck with me because oftentimes, it's not that we don't have information. Because, we have information at our fingertips, on our computer, on our cell phones, on our tablets. Yes. The question is, are you asking the right questions? That's why the title of my book is in the form of a question. Right. That is, are you climbing the wrong mountain? Because there are some people that say, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Right. I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I was trained to do. And for those people, that's fine. I'm glad and happy for you. Yeah. But for the vast majority of people that I've run into, and even myself, spend so much time climbing the wrong mountain.
Now I'm going to interrupt you right
Okay,
now.
all right.
Now, so you say they're climbing the wrong mountain, and I want you to listen to this because I want you to see if this applies to you. When you say climbing the wrong mountain, give us an example of what that could look like. Are you saying in their personal life, in their business? Like, give us an example of what would be climbing the wrong mountain.
Well, this book primarily focuses on your career.
Yes.
But it can also be applicable to a relationship, to your finances, even to your health. You know, some people are working for something that's not working for them. They're actually putting in the time, energy, and effort for something that's not benefiting them.
Right.
And so being able to evaluate, is this where I'm supposed to be? You know, one of the things I got about writing this book, there were 3 things that really stuck out to me about even if you're on the wrong mountain.
Yes.
The first thing is you can realize that this is where I'm not supposed to be.
I'm not supposed to be.
Exactly. You can X this mountain out because this is not it. I'm not happy, I'm not fulfilled, I'm not satisfied.
Okay.
The second thing is, even being halfway up the wrong mountain, you can see the right one. Even being halfway up the wrong mountain, you can see the right one. You can see more from even halfway up the wrong mountain than you can just being in the valley.
Right. Okay.
And so many people are still in the valley.
Yeah.
There are some that have started climbing mountains, but they realized this is not it.
But at least they could see it because they started climbing.
Because they started climbing.
So what you're saying is there's some people that haven't even started climbing. Now remember, I want you to see if this is you. You're saying there's some people that haven't even started climbing.
Haven't even started climbing.
Wow.
But for the ones who have, they're not satisfied. They're not fulfilled. And it's a drudgery just to get out of bed. But the third thing, even about being on the wrong mountain, one is you realize, okay, this is not the place.
Right.
Number 2, you can see the right mountain from the wrong mountain.
Right.
But the good thing about being on the wrong mountain is that you have mountain climbing skills. Because in doing so, you've amassed those skills, even climbing the wrong mountain.
Right.
So when you see the right one, it's not going to take you that long to get up it.
So what you're saying is when you've been going up the wrong mountain, you've developed a skill set that you can now take and apply to the right mountain.
Exactly. And so it's not going to take you that long to get up the right one. Once you've realized, okay, this is the wrong one.
Yeah.
I see the right one, but I have the skill set, I have the knowledge. I'm not starting from ground zero anymore. Because even being halfway up the wrong mountain, I have some mountain climbing skills.
You discover some things.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this then, Cicone. This seems like a book that you've developed from personal experience.
Yes.
So are you saying that there was a time in your life where you were climbing the wrong mountain?
Yes. In fact, there was. And I think back to a conference, a national conference I went to back in 2012.
Yes.
And I had an opportunity to be a part of, they called it a Quick Pitch Business Olympics.
Okay.
While we were at the conference, I received a phone call. The phone call said, your company has been selected, in fact, to be a part of the Quick Pitch Business Olympics.
Okay.
I'm like, what's that? So I grabbed the brochure and I look it up. And you have 3 minutes to pitch your company.
Okay.
In front of a panel of select judges.
Yeah.
And in front of the listening audience. And each company had 3 minutes.
Yes.
And then the judges gave a 3-minute critique. And as soon as I got off the phone, I started then rehearsing and reciting my company's mantra.
Yes.
My elevator speech.
Yes.
I started, and I had my oldest son with me, like doing that trip, and I know he thought I was losing my mind because I was in the bathroom taking the bath, sitting in the tub, going over and over again. My name's Cicone. I mean, just over and over again, just saying it over and over again to the point to where it sounded natural and fluid. Well, not only the fact that I prepared myself that way, but I took advantage of an opportunity that was there. Because the room that they had the Quick Pitch Business Olympics in, they had a projector.
Yeah.
And they had a timer on the screen. And I mean, this wasn't like at some organizations, in fact, where people just kind of keep going and going and going, the timer counted out. And at the end of 3 minutes, they just cut your mic.
That was it.
I mean, that was it.
You was done.
Exactly. You had nothing to say because nobody could hear you. And so I noticed that they had a projector, they had the screen, they had a guy in the background and the AVI stuff. I said, I wonder. So I went back to the guy and I asked him, I said, can you play a video file? He said, sure. So I kept my file on my phone for the company I had then.
Yeah.
So I actually had him take it and copy it over to his system. We even pulled it up and played to make sure that the sound and stuff showed and everything was right on the screen. And I told myself, okay, look, in fact, once I get up to give my presentation, I'm going to cue you, and I need you to start playing there.
Start rolling.
So people can actually see and understand what I did at the time.
Okay.
And so they started the whole process. They started calling companies. And thankfully, I wasn't the first one because I was nervous. I wound up in, I think, company number 8.
Yeah.
But he called me. I actually got up there and I started talking. And I started sharing my story. And in the process of me doing it, I realized something. That my words carried weight. That my words could not just sell something, but it could actually lift somebody. And that became more important to me than just focusing on just doing at the time I was doing 3D animation.
Yeah.
It became more important to me to impact people's lives, not just with a visual presentation, but helping them in their mind's eye to see what was possible. I like what Les Brown said, he often have people say it's possible. Yeah. And it is possible. And I think a lot of time people fail to realize just what their potential is. And that's one of the reasons why our slogan is introducing you to yourself, because there's so much in you that you have to offer to the world. But once you understand that, once you realize that, you can bring it out.
And one of the ways you suggest bringing it out is asking the right question.
Exactly. You got to ask the right question.
Well, that's great. I love that. And so you have personal experience in this, and it sounds like you discovered it halfway up the wrong mountain.
Exactly.
So even when you say that, that's something that you know personally. It's not just something that you're talking about, it's something that you've experienced.
Exactly.
And so here's what I know, that if you've been through it, if you learned through it, you can share that information with other people, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Now here's what I'm going to say, that knowledge is not the change. Okay. Insight is not the change. It's the application of the knowledge and the insight of the change. Exactly. So what we're going to talk about is, I'm going to get right into the book. I'm going to actually open it up. I'm going to ask you some questions from the book. But here's what I want you to think about. It's not just reading the book. It's not even just having it. But how can you take this information and apply it to your life? Because once you apply it, that will be the change. Is that a deal?
All right.
All right, let's get going. So, Cicone, one of the things you talked about in the book when you asked about climbing the wrong mountain,
right,
is you talked about being dissatisfied.
Right.
And so what does that look like for the listener, and what did that look like for you? Because there had to be a time where you were satisfied, you were doing the job, you were developing the pitch, you were going right up there.
Exactly.
So what did you discover that made you realize that you were really at the wrong mountain? Yeah.
Well, now, most people will agree with this. By a show of hands, how many people hate Mondays? Most people do.
Yeah.
Most people do.
Yeah.
But when you hate Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, when you hate every day of the work week, there's a good indication.
You're living for Friday.
Exactly. There's a good indication that you're climbing the wrong mountain. And that's what my life became like. Every day was like hospital food. There was no season, there was no taste. There was nothing in it.
Every day was like hospital food.
There was nothing in it that really just made me just excited about being alive.
Yeah.
And I found that to be just a slow death, to be honest with you.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, there's really nothing worse than going to some place that you don't like, knowing that you have to go, and then knowing that you have to stay there all that time. Yes. It's almost like you're wasting your life away.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what I like that we're trying to do now is help you get that life back on track. I believe that this book can be your compass, don't you?
Yes, I do. I do.
Agree. So one of the things you said was, once you're dissatisfied, we know that a lot of people get down. Yeah. They get discouraged.
Right.
And they get hard on themselves. And you talk about don't do that. Why is that important?
Well, it's important because, as I said earlier, even being where you are, you've gathered some sort of skill set. Mm-hmm. You've learned some things. You've learned that this is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
So you can X that off your list. But you also learned skill sets that will be helpful even for when you got to the right mountain. Mm. And so I think oftentimes people think that, okay, I've wasted most of my life.
Yes.
And my thing is, well, just use what's left. Use what's left.
Yeah.
There are so many people who will allow a setback to to be the end of the road.
Yeah.
And somebody once said that the bend in the road is only the end of the road if you fail to make the turn.
Yes.
And there are so many people who fail to make the turn. Life may be putting you or steering you in another direction, but you have to be willing to make the turn.
Yeah.
And sometimes people have a hard time doing it.
You talked about using what's left. I love sports. I love watching football, basketball. But I was watching a particular game. It was a couple of years ago. It was the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
And the team was down. They were supposed to lose. And so
Right.
that's interesting because they have them seeded. And then they
Right.
say who's supposed to win. But once they say who's supposed to win, what they're also saying is the other team is supposed to lose. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And really, they were right. Going into half, the team that they thought was going to lose was down. They were actually losing.
Right.
And they were the underdog.
Right.
But this team came back.
Mm.
The team came back and they beat the top seed. And so they interviewed them after the game and they said, well, what happened? You know, you guys were going into halftime, you were down, you were losing. What was it like in the locker room and what did you focus on? And they said, and what was it that you did in the first half that you needed to do, you could have done better? And they said, well, let me be honest with you. We talked about that briefly, but we didn't focus on all the time that was gone. We focused on the time that we had left.
Right.
And
exactly.
that's exactly what you're saying, that once you're up the wrong mountain, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you've been through because right now it's not over for you. And so regardless of what you've been through right now, the past does not determine the future. You have some time left if you're willing to press on. Like you said, the end of the road is only the end of the road if you don't make the turn.
Exactly.
And so you're saying that they can make the turn and head right on over to the right mountain.
Exactly.
Well, you know, another thing you said in here is seeing where you are.
Yeah.
And what did you mean by that?
I meant that you have an opportunity to value how you got to where you are. Mm. I mean, because you worked hard to get there. Mm-hmm. In fact, you went to school. In fact, you went to training. You went through certain promotions and stuff. So it's not that you were just a lazy bum. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've done something with your life.
Right.
You made something of it. And so valuing where you are, how you got there, you know, the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into getting where you are. Mm-hmm. But still, as I said, you realize something's missing. And that sense of fulfillment and purpose is just not there. Mm-hmm. And it makes you dissatisfied.
Well, let me ask you, because you said something, but I want to be the devil's advocate. I'm arguing on the behalf of the listeners
of course,
and the watchers, right? So one of the things that you said is you've worked hard. You've put in a lot of work. You've had some tenacity. You've worked to get to where you're at. You've been through some promotions. But what if they haven't? What about that person who really doesn't feel like that to this point they've done anything significant? To this point, their life really is unrewarding, it's unsatisfying, that nothing would be missed if their service that they were providing wasn't out there. What do you say to that person, and how can they turn around? Is there hope for them?
Well, yes, there is hope for them. And they have to realize that within them, they carry something unique, something that no one else has to offer, which is why they're here.
Right.
And so even if they haven't done anything of any significance yet, to be honest, they're in the best place because they can actually, instead of wasting time, they can ask themselves the right questions now and then identify the right mountain. And sometimes that takes, volunteering here or working here or finding out in fact what your passion is, you know, what you're willing to do even if you don't get paid.
Right.
And then, okay, now how can I build a life and a career and my own personal economy around this?
Right. And so here's one thing I found, Cicone, because you and I talked before we came on air, and I thought you said something brilliant, and I'd like to share that with us.
Sure.
I know it's your stuff, but I'd like to share it just because I thought it was brilliant. And one of the things that you said was that impact drives income, and that they had to get out there and find where they were making an impact, and that a lot of times they don't know, but people typically tell you, man, the way you bake that cake is delicious, or wow, the hairstyles you do, or man, when you walk in, the kids light up, or when you walk in that nursing home, the older generation come alive, they love you, They love you working with them.
Right.
And so what you were saying is they were actually making an impact, and so they have to look for areas in their lives where sometimes they don't notice it because it's just them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It comes easy to them.
Yeah, so they don't notice. It's no big deal.
Exactly.
But what you're saying is that impact is what they can wrap their life around to make a difference in somebody else's life, and that impact will drive their income.
True.
That will help develop their own personal economy.
It is so true. And I think, the sooner people understand that, the sooner people embrace that, and the sooner people start living that, the happier they'll be.
back. Again, I'm Ruben West. I'm with Cicone Prince, and we're talking about his book, Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain? And he's been giving us some great insight. I mean, this is a great book, but I want to ask you something, Cicone. You talked about people who may have done some great things in the past. They've had some successes. They've done some things they'd love to do.
Right.
But what do you say to the person who they don't see the value in anything they've done? They've been criticized for the mistake that they made. They've been compared to other people for not doing what they thought they should have done or what they could have done. And they're really at a low spot. What do you say to that person? Is it over for them?
Well, it's never over as long as you're still breathing.
Yeah.
Everybody has an opportunity to make an impact in life. But the question is, are you going to do that? You know, for those individuals who say to themselves, well, I haven't done this, or I'm just starting out, I'm fresh out of high school, or fresh out of college. Or in fact, you may even be someone who's actually coming out of retirement and having to start working again.
Yeah.
Well, why not do something that you love as opposed to something that you hate? And even for those individuals who say to themselves, well, what do I have to offer? If you look close enough, you'll find out something. There's something unique about you. There's something about you that can actually make the difference in the world in which you live. And I know that to be a fact. And all you need is to have the right people and the right tools to help you discover that and then walk in.
Now, let me ask you this. What if they don't know what it is? What if they're thinking, I have no idea what I'm good at. I have no idea how I can leave my mark. I have no idea how I impact other people. How can they get some insight on that?
Well, you can purchase my book. Because in my book, I help you identify those areas in your life to where you do stuff effortlessly. I mean, people train and go to school and college for the stuff that you do just by second nature. And identifying those things. And oftentimes, even as you've oftentimes told us, people, in fact, they may not even realize it. They may walk into a room full of kids and the kids just light up.
That's right.
They are excited to see them. And they don't really realize that you have an opportunity, in fact, to be a counselor.
Yeah.
And, you know, to actually make an impact in people's lives. They are just looking at, well, I'm just helping out.
Right.
But the reality is you have a gift in that area that can impact somebody and change their life.
So what you're saying is sometimes you have to look at what people have told you that you're good at. They may say, man, when you walk in the room, the kids light up. Or when you walk in the aftercare program for the senior citizens, the whole senior citizen room fills up. I mean, you have this particular gift, and sometimes you're going to identify it because other people are going to tell you, man, you really make an impact when you do this. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Well, and I think of what Les Brown says, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame.
Yeah.
And it takes someone that really knows you and knows your heart and your intent. In fact, to be able to actually tell you, you know, that is an area that you really need to look at. That's an area that you're gifted in because you make a difference and you make an impact.
That's excellent. Let me ask you this, Cicone. I love what you've done with the book. I told you I'm a fan of it, and I've already given away a few copies. But let me ask you this. What is it that makes you happy when you see people doing what?
When I see people living and walking in their purpose. As I said earlier, there are people that are doing stuff that they were trained to do. There are people that are doing stuff that they were ordained to do. And there's no sense of fulfillment that you'll ever get until you're doing what you were ordained to do.
And so have you noticed someone that was able to make a change?
It's funny you mentioned that. There was a young lady that actually came up to me and she said that she was in her job, working, not really satisfied, not really knowing what she could do to actually change or to get a sense of purpose out of life. And she'd been doing some stuff, but she really just hadn't really pursued it. She purchased my book. She read it. She said it was a quick read, but it gave her the push she needed for her to start living her dreams. She went on to tell me that she actually quit her job and she started pursuing her passion. Now, she knew her financial situation and she knew what she could do. But she said that my book gave her the push she needed because she knew that there was more that she had to offer. There was more that she had to give. And she wasn't doing it where she was. And so just reading the book, it made her take an objective look at herself and realize, I can do more than this. And not only can I do it, I have to do it. And I'm going to do it. And so that really helped. It helped me to know that somebody got the benefit out of reading my book.
Cicone, where can they get the book?
They can actually, this book is available online at Amazon.com. And in fact, you can go there and search for, are you climbing the wrong mountain? You can even search for Cicone Prince, and it'll come up.
Now, you have a DVD that accompanies the book, is that correct?
Yes, I do. And it is Cicone's Daily Dose of Vitamin C.
The vitamin C.
Yes, and it says videos have to connect with your purpose, to correct your processes, and to communicate your passions. And on this DVD, there are 28 videos, no more than 5 minutes. Most of them average 3 to 4 minutes. But they are enough to get your day going and get you started in the right direction. You can watch them all at one time in one sitting. It's over an hour and a half worth of footage. Or you can watch individual videos. And even my most popular one, what are you wearing and where are you going? It's included on here.
Really?
Yes.
And so people have given you feedback on their videos, right?
They have. And oftentimes, I guess the best comment I got was a guy that said, Cicone puts the hay where the horse can get it.
I like that. Puts the hay where the horse can get it.
In other words, he was saying that I made it so easy to understand.
Yes.
That even the simplest person could, actually get it.
Now let me ask you this, Cicone, because this is something we experience from time to time. What if we're living our passion? We're doing what we love to do.
Okay.
Our life is filled with joy.
Right.
What then for the book? Is it something that you could get for someone else?
Definitely.
Yeah.
One of the things that we can do is we can inspire the people. And whether or not we understand that and whether or not we take that role seriously, it's capable. It's possible for us to ignite somebody else's passion. When you see someone that's doing what they love to do, something in you it stirs up and says, I want to do that. That should be me.
Yeah, that should be me.
What is my passion? What is my goal? And oftentimes it sends people on a search to find out, okay, what's my goal? What's my passion? And I believe that this book can help them do that.
Well, one of the things I love about it is sometimes there's people that we want to reach, but if we tell them, it's almost like they feel like we're being preachy.
Right.
But if we share it with them to the extent that I say something like, hey, because I told you about giving away a few books, I said, hey, I thought this was pretty good. Tell me what you think about this guy. Okay. And I just gave it to them, not as to tell them what to do, but to tell me what they think about this guy. But their feedback was, Ruben, this guy's great. But let me tell you what I discovered about this book. I realized that I wasn't living my purpose. Okay. Wow. They said there's things that you're in and there's things that are in you. Oh, yes, and this person said that they had been involved in a lot of things that they were just in, but there was also things that were in them. And when they read this book, the reflective questions, you did a masterful job, they realized that there was more. Yeah. And so I got to commend you on that, because sometimes it's hard to tell the person, but when you can give it to them and just share it with them, they can read it for themselves. And then they want to take the action. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
So ladies and gentlemen, you have it there. I mean, this is a great book. Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain? Not only is it great for you, but it's a great giveaway. It's a quick read. Cicone, as we close this video, what closing statements or remarks would you say to the listeners about this book?
You owe it to yourself and to everyone around you to find out your purpose. We do a disservice to everybody around us when we're operating in a capacity that we were not meant to. I mean, and it's so important to me. It's critical because somebody somewhere is waiting for you to show up. They're waiting for you to write that book. They're waiting for you to open that bakery. They're waiting for you to start that play. They're waiting on you. And they won't even hear me. They won't even give me the time of day. But somebody listen to you. There's a young person out there that's hoping and praying that somebody like you comes along and shares your story. Because my story is not yours. But you have something in you that somebody else needs to hear. Don't take it to the grave.
No one else is coming. God sent you.
Exactly.
Are you climbing the wrong mountain? Do yourself a favor. Get it, read it, use the processes in it, and then pay it forward and share it. I'm Ruben West, and this is Cicone Prince.
Of CiconePrince.com, where we introduce you to yourself. And I also want to add to, Ruben, is that you can also connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and my own website, CiconePrince.com. That's CiconePrince.com. And there you can follow me, you can like, and you can actually find out more information about the book and how to get a copy.
Great. And we look forward to hearing your feedback once you have the book, because what we're going to do is we're going to take some videos of some people who use the book, who read it and have the processes down, and we want you to send us some video clips that we can post on the website.
Yes, please.
Cicone, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for changing lives.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching.